Hi everyone, welcome. Uh, welcome. So this Sacredversities webinar series is brought to you by Ecoversities Alliance, which is a global community reimagining how we learn, rooted in healing, culture, and ecology. It supports people and communities to reclaim learning on their own terms beyond classrooms and systems. From mainstream to many streams, Sacredversity is one such path, bringing sacred back into learning. It honors dreams, rituals, ancestral wisdom, bodies knowing, and sound, and our deep connection to the unseen. Sacredversities invites us to learn with wonder, where education becomes a soulful, sacred journey. Today, we are talking about sound. We're calling it Dhwaniversity. Dhwani means sound. And we have three speakers here. First is uh, Kainas. Did I say that right again? Yeah. So Kainas is formerly a Bollywood actress turned wellness guide, offering transformative yoga and sound healing journeys for both adults and children. We also have Akshay Balaji, a healing alchemist from Chennai. She blends ancient wisdom and modern techniques to help people tap into their healing wisdom. She also uses sound immersion for that. We have Baljit, an IASH certified sound practitioner specializing in Himalayan singing bowls, gongs, and instruments to activate deep transformation through sound. Welcome, all the speakers. Thank you for being here. Um, so I thought I could get us started off with this one very simple question. Can you explain to us how sound healing works? How does it help people directly or indirectly? To give more context, last week in this Sacredversities webinar series, we spoke about crystals and how they hold certain frequencies and how it supports us through their vibration. In what ways does sound work similarly with frequencies, and how does it interact with our physical, emotional, and energetic bodies? So, Akshay, would you like to say something on that first?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me and sharing all those beautiful words about us, Lakshmi. And hi to everyone present here today. To respond to your question, Lakshmi, sound is a very beautiful instrument. Especially, I really enjoy using the sound of my voice in my work because it acts as a beautiful bridge between expressing and receiving. So at the same time, it works as a the sound that we express from ourself. It comes out with a sort with the it works with the breath. So it is a beautiful way to align, balance, and stabilize the whole system, the energy system, and the physical body.
Lovely. Kainas, would you like to add something to that? Your take.
Sure. So like Akshay said, we also use a lot of voice because voice is a beautiful instrument as well. And a lot of people actually blocked here and are not able to express themselves. And when you just start doing certain things with the voice, there's so much in your energy system that can get unblocked. But to answer your question in a more scientific way, because a lot of people kind of need that, they don't want to understand energy systems. Um, so everything in the universe vibrates at a frequency, everything. Um, and any kind of illness in the mind or body is when that frequency is slightly off. So all of these instruments that I'm sure all of us are using in our work are tuned to specific frequencies which resonate with the body and the mind. So when you play that certain frequency and it matches with the frequency of a particular organ that is gone off, that's how it heals physically. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
So that's
Hmm.
how, so even if if you've just heard an ultrasound or anything, you'll realize that every organ in the body has a sound. So if you're listening, what the doctor is listening to is that. sounding right. So if it's not sounding right, that means something has gone off. So if you match it to the right frequency, you can make it right again. So that's how it works on a very scientific and physical level. And also, when you listen to these sounds, or if you even just listen to the sound of rain, or the sound of birds, or just forest sounds, why do you feel so good? Because it just naturally lowers your cortisol. It brings you into a restful state. So there are two states. There's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, right? So a lot of us are currently in today's day and age in the fight and flight response, all the time stressed out. So that is your sympathetic nervous system at play, which is all, it's required by the body, but not for extended periods of time. So what sound does is it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which brings you into a state of balance and harmony. So that's how it works on you mentally, physically, and of course also spiritually, because all of it is aligned. So yeah, that's a very scientific answer to your question. But yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, thank you. Jeet, would you like to add something to that? You are muted.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. I was saying most of the all the three aspects of your question, and the technical part has been answered by Kainas and Akshay. Uh, in terms of sounds touching us at all the three levels, it is a very profound experience. It is something which cannot be described. The experience that the relationship that somebody would establish with the sounds, it's his or her unique relationship, and how it's going to manifest at all the three levels. Sometimes it is instant, and sometimes it takes like maybe a couple of days, or maybe as you work, you go back to your routine, is when you sort of memorize or recollect the memory of a sound journey. Uh, and that's how it starts changing and impacting the individual. Um, yeah, I think I would want to say this because everything else has been covered in terms of the way the vibrations work and the way our cells organically vibrate at various frequencies, and how a variety of instruments can really touch and affect and impact. Yeah. I would
I
also
have
want to.
go on,
I
go
would
on.
also want to say one more thing, that healing, of course, begins from the point when the individual who's receiving the sounds or receiving the vibrations has an intention, the correct intention to sort of move from one point to the next point, in his life, his or her life. And if the intention is not said or not felt, um, or not expressed, maybe the healing is then just a very commercial word. The whole intent of somebody who's taking part in the session should have an intention, and if you have the right intention, you will establish the right relationship, the correct, unique relationship with the frequencies and the energy. And that's where the initiation happens. That's where the change begins to take place. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up this intention thing. It has been a common thread in all the Sacredversities webinars. I have two follow-up questions. One is, I would assume in your work, a lot of time also is spent helping clarify the intention for the client or the person you're doing the healing for. And I'm also wondering, Since Kainas, you spoke about specific issues in the energetic body plus the physical body, or just one or the other. Um, is the sound healing that you do, that sound that you generate is focused on the frequency of that particular part of the body or chakra or issue? Is that how it works? Would you like to go first, Kainas?
So in a private session, yes, if somebody has come for a private session and said, I have this issue or whatever, I would also work beyond sound with them, so I would also go into trying to understand what exactly has caused that issue to manifest in the first place, and um, how that can be resolved in other ways as well. And then, as Jeet very rightly said, the intent is so important, because without that, without having also faith that this is going to work, you're just going to be in your head, and you need to get out of your head and into your heart and into your body to first of all even receive something like this. So yes, in a private session we would do that, but in a group setting generally, because all of these are tuned to certain frequencies like 430 to 440, which are generally um, very healing overall. I feel like they would just work on you anyway, and you've set the intent, and we do a guided process before we start with the sounds. So we're already telling you what you should be focusing on and things like that. So it will work on you. And in a session, we will also play the instruments over the person's body a lot of times. So there are these videos, there's this scientific thing that, to show people, because the reason I keep going back to science is because I've realized that when we talk in terms of energy, a lot of people are skeptical. But when we talk about hard facts, they find it easier to accept. It just is what it is, right? So there is this whole field of research called cymatics, where they place like grains of sand on a plate, and then they just play a note, and that sand will create geometric figures. And the same thing, if I guess Akshay will be able to talk about this better, in the bowls, if you place water, each bowl, and you just rim the bowl, it'll create different shapes. And your body is 70% water, so the same thing is happening on a cellular level in your body. So yes, the frequencies will work on your entire system, but if you have a very specific issue, you can also work on that.
All right. And that is mostly, that specific issue is focused through intention as well as a certain type of sounds, I would assume. Okay. And any of you would like to add something to that? Akshay, if you want to go.
Sure. So, what I believe is, Lakshmi, I'm not sure about specific frequencies, but what in my experience and what I've learned from my teacher is that the frequencies keep changing, especially with the bowls, with the gongs. The frequencies is not like one specific frequency can like exactly go and cure one specific issue. It doesn't work like that, because the color that I'm wearing has a specific frequency. The thought that I'm having today has a specific frequency. The pain that I have in my body today has a specific frequency. So how it interacts with each of these different frequencies and how the energy blocks get released is very different. So broadly we can say divide, create a spectrum and say this might work for these kind of issues, but I can't exactly say if I play this specific frequency this issue will just get resolved and magically go away. It doesn't work like that, at least according to me. That's one thing. The second thing is why sound works is another reason is that sound travels faster in water than air, and our bodies, like Kainas was saying, is made of 70% of water. So the movement of all these molecules and the frequencies moves more effortlessly and smoothly. The sound waves and vibrations move effortlessly in our body because of the water. And that's why the alignment happens so easily and lightly. And I have a lot more things to say, but I'll let Jeet add to it.
Sure.
Oh, okay, cool. Um, I was going to say that there are, so when we talk about chakra or chakras, what we know very commonly is that there are 7 chakras, but there are many more chakras in our body, right? So, and when I interact with a lot of people or visitors in my studio, they often come with a query: do you do chakra healing? Well, of course, but how do you know there's a chakra imbalance? Right now, when I say there are many more chakras than 7, just 7, I would start maybe from as simple aspect of uh, mind detox, right? Uh, or let's say relaxing your head, de-stressing just this part of the head, just this part of the body. And there are chakras here as well. Of course, there is third eye chakra and then there's crown chakra as well, but there are also various chakras all through our body. All these energy centers. Chakras is nothing but energy centers. So what we're trying to do, what I usually offer them and tell them is, of course, we'll focus on chakras, but let's see what's in your head. Okay, let's sort of declutter all the everything that's in it and keep it aside, put that aside, and then you come back to your body, then you come back to your somatic self, and then you feel, okay, now where do you feel an emotion, or where do you feel that uh, you you probably need an application of sound. So I start from the very basic, right? And just to the other two guests, I would also want to add that, of course, there are fixed frequency bowls that we have in the sound modality, and then there are very generic bowls as well, right? Fixed frequency bowls definitely work on fixed energy centers. Very common example, like I said, 7 chakras. There are 7 chakra bowls which are readily available and tuned as well. But then there are untuned bowls also, right? Both would work on you. Apparently, both would work on you. It depends how one is playing at an energy center, and also what you can do with the other bowls. If someone has an experience of using untuned bowls along with the tuned bowls, it can enhance the aura of an individual. You know, the way somebody would step into the room and the way somebody would step out. Oh, it's you can witness the change. Uh, Yeah, I think I would say that there are, of course, fixed frequencies and fixed instruments, and then there are untuned. But with experience, when you start interacting with and understanding your own instruments and you sort of connect with them, you could change the entire momentum of an individual. Yeah, just that.
Yeah, thank you. We'll get more into the process a little later. I wanted to come back to a few more the social context of this sound healing.
Mm, mm,
Um, so sound healing has been part of our spiritual and cultural practices forever, but it's becoming more and more popular these days, sound healing. It's finding new meaning for many people. Why do you think sound feels so relevant, especially now? Jeet, if you want to go, and then I'll ask Akshay.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Um, right. Sound being a medicine, and it's being considered as a medicine, or it's finding a lot of ears around is uh, one. it is non-invasive, like a medicine that you pop in when you have a certain ailment or a disease, right? A disease is nothing but it's a discomfort in the body, and therefore it's a disease. You're not in an easy state, and then you pop in pills and you take medications and all of that. Sound being very non-invasive works at the vibrational levels, like the other guests have said. Uh, so that is something which is getting a popularity in the alternate medicine modality, right? Of course, there are things like sacred medicines. We talk about shamans doing intense work, right? But then sound still, when we talk about sacred medicine, it's still something that we consume. It could be ayahuasca, it could be the mushrooms, it could be anything else. It could be I don't know, this combo. These days there's a lot of people practicing that. But sound still holds its own special space, not something that will have a side effect. It doesn't have a side effect at all. Whatever your body is supposed to receive, it's going to relate and it is going to receive. Again, going back to intention, if the intention is appropriate, the right intention is in place, that's where the change begins to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, thank
So,
you. Did you want to say something more?
I think I'm good.
Thanks. Akshay?
Jeep beautifully described how sound works with our system, right? Um, okay, I forgot what I was about to say.
Yeah, I was asking why is it so relevant now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, sound. So we as human beings, we experience through 5 different senses. And the least understood, the least awareness we hold is our ears, like the ability to listen. And we don't listen just with our ears. The whole body, the whole being receives sounds, receives, any kind of sound or noise that goes out there. And why sound healing is so important right now is a lot of people are shifting, moving their awareness, want to learn more, look into themselves. And sound is a beautiful tool that comes in between and says, hey, there's more to listen. Can you see what's happening to you when you're listening to this sound? Can you become more aware of how it's changing your mind or your body? So that's why it's very relevant now. Its applications are like as creative as you can get. That's all I can say, because it can be used by a therapist. It can be used in medical, for pain relief. It can be used in multiple applications. Only the person who's using it can get creative. There's no limit to using sound. So that's why it's very, very applicable, very relevant, and very important in present reality.
Yeah, thank you, Akshay. Before I move to Kainas on this question, I want to add one more thing to it. So you were a Bollywood actress before, and you're into doing sound healing full time now, if I'm not mistaken, healing work. Um, that's a very beautiful arc, uh, and I'm wondering what movement or experience made you realize that sound is really your medicine and not just art or cinema for that matter.
It actually ties in very well to what I was going to say. Why is it relevant, you asked? Because what happens is so instant. As soon as you finish the session, you feel it. And sometimes it is so profound that it can change your entire life. And that's what happened to me. That's how I came to sound. Because yes, I was acting and stuff, and I loved it. I've loved everything that I've done in my life. Honestly, it's always been beautiful. But I was going through a certain phase in my life where there there was no other choice but to move towards spirituality. So I first found yoga, and that changed me completely. I was extremely unwell physically, and just through the practice of yoga, um, I and I won't say somebody else heals you, first of all. Even when we talk about sound healing, like Jeet said, we go back to the intention. You heal yourself. We are, as sound healers or practitioners, we are just an instrument. And we are channeling, at least I want to believe that I always ask the divine to work through me to help the other person. So I am just a channel. I don't consider myself a healer. I don't call myself a healer. I think I am just an instrument that is being used to help somebody, right? So the first time I received a sound bath, something very shifted so drastically in my being, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like it just shook me. And something happened to me, and I said, I want to learn more. And if it can do this to me, I'm sure it can do this to so many others. So when you ask these questions, the reason I answer scientifically is because I've tried explaining this so many times, the experience I had, but I'm unable to do it. So it is something that has to just be experienced. And it's so fast and it's so immediate that people are like, wow, if it's something happened to me, you see it immediately, right? With yoga or with even like something like homeopathy or whatever, it's a slow process. But with this, you feel so good within an hour. There are so many times people come into sessions like crying, feeling sad, in pain. I had one lady come in once who said, what do I do? I can't lie down on the mat because my knee hurts. So I had to put bolsters under her knee and, try to make her comfortable. At the end of the session, she was sitting cross-legged and she said, I can't believe this. you know, that's why it's relevant, because it happens so instantaneously. And also, I think it's so relevant in bigger cities because we are constantly surrounded by noise. So, as we said, the sound that we are playing is creating so much harmony in your body, but the constant honking, shouting, screaming, all of that which we hear in our cities is also working on us, but in an opposite way. So to counter that, this is very important. So I think I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it very beautifully articulates the relevance of it now, for sure.
Just want to come in
Yeah,
here,
go ahead.
Lakshmi.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's a really good example what she mentioned. People who have failed in believing that something good can happen to them in their life sound like the ability of that individual uh, to sit cross legs despite struggling, a mental struggle, right? A physical struggle or an emotional struggle at all the three levels. Goes back to your first question. At all the three levels, she probably was struggling and didn't know what to do with her own body. And after probably 60, 75 minutes, she's sitting cross legs and in comfort, right? So what is it doing? Sound is putting that ability, that faith into that person who's present at that moment. And now she walks without any support. So, and I don't know, I can't recall from my memory if the medical domain or the medicines that are available, if that can make or invoke the ability in somebody, that instinct within 1 hour, that's next to impossible, right? But when you, as a practitioner, as an enabler or a catalyst, when you experience that change happening right there, and that's not something that is fabricated. It's magic happening right at that moment, and
Yeah.
that is just unexplainable.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for reiterating that. Definitely, I agree. Um, I want to ask, so for someone who's curious, other than coming for a sound healing experience, or sound immersion experience, how can we possibly start tuning into the power of sound in our everyday lives? I live in a forest. I'm definitely gonna try and listen to the birds more, or like do it more intentionally, definitely tomorrow morning. But yeah, how could someone in the city, or how can we tune into the power of sound in our everyday lives? Akshaya, do you want to answer?
Yeah. It's
Tell
as
us
simple
more.
as humming, Lakshmi. Just hum. Just take a deep breath and hum, and that's as easy as tuning into sounds. That's
Yeah.
what I want to say.
Yeah. Any other ideas that you all want to add, Jeet?
Well, humming is Om, chanting Om, or anything. It doesn't have to be associated to something which has a religious significance, but just that the significance of that vibration is what you need to feel and you need to begin with. Um, Om is one thing, then, or humming itself, that's also fine. I mean, that's the best thing to do. Uh,
Mhm.
um, yeah, sitting under a tree, maybe. If yeah, you have trees around you, of course. Um, I personally rely a lot on the bowls that I play on my own self. Uh, Being a sound practitioner and holding my instruments, like having instruments with me, it makes it a little more easier for me. But then there are also lots of, I personally follow a practitioner from, I think he's from Shanghai, and he really plays well the bowls and the all that um, collaboration of rainstick and the bowls. Just that he only plays bowls and rainstick, but he runs about 1 to 2 hours. So that is something when I don't want to feel playing on myself, then I listen to that. That is something people can do also. Like if you want to spread that information out, um, I can share the links. So that is
Sure.
something I go back to mostly, right? But I think 15, 20 minutes every day listening to either a solfeggio frequency or maybe 432 or 440 hertz, best. Yeah, you start your day with that element, and yeah, you will start noticing the change. Mm.
Thank you. Any ideas to add, kindness?
Yeah. So, of course, the Om sound and the humming sound is extremely powerful. It's so beautiful. Even children can do it. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I make her do the humming all the time. And I see that children also calm down, when you hum.
Mm.
So beautiful, Akshaya. Thank you for sharing that. Of course, Om does not have to have a religious connotation. It's just the primordial sound, and it's beautiful. Where do you live, by the way, Lakshmi? You said you live in a forest. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, I live in a forest near Bangalore. I'll tell you later more
Wow.
about it.
So just honestly, I've discovered a forest near my house 3 days ago. And so what I do now is I just go, I ground myself. So I take off my shoes. Very important to do that also. To just like actually stand on the earth and listen. Just close your eyes and first learn to listen. Just listening to nature sounds is so healing. If you just sit next to a stream or you just listen to birds or any kind of sound. Right now, it's pouring in Bombay, and I'm just listening to that, and it's making me feel beautiful. So, any beautiful sound of nature will heal you. Any sound of nature will heal you. So, just go into nature, just look at those verdant trees or listen to the birds, and that's a beautiful way to do it. And I think every city, if Bombay has it, every city has it. So go into nature.
Yeah, I want to mention the ocean for those who are living next to the ocean for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
We
yeah.
also have something called an ocean drum, which simulates the sound of the ocean. Rain stick simulates the sound of rain. There are, bird whistles, because nature sounds actually are so healing, we don't realize. So if we have actual nature, we don't need anything else.
Yeah, thank you. Akshay, I want to ask you, so you describe yourself as a healing alchemist, blending ancient wisdom and modern techniques. What is alchemical about when and how you use sound immersion in your work with your clients?
Um, Lakshmi, like Jeet had spoken about, before any client comes in, I specifically set my intention, set the space, set my environment, set myself my own intentions before I get into any program or any kind of healing session with any of my clients. That's like my most basic work that I do. Followed by, once the client comes in, I do a little things like I add some flower remedy water and I do some things like that. And like we figure out what their intention for the day is. And once that is done, I find the alchemy happens when someone meets blocked energies. So recently, a few days back, a client had come in. She'd come in saying she had palpitations and breathlessness and panic attacks, especially in the night. She couldn't sleep. And she also said that she hasn't cried in like for over a year or two. So she said, I just need to relax and, get relieved of the stress and all of that. And we got to a clear intention. And at the end of the session, through the session, I felt like I wanted to scream and cry. And so I used a little bit of voice and I did that. But what I wanted her to be able to release it. So at the end of the session, I used voice. I asked her to chant a few times. We used some matrikas, which helped her. And when we finished chanting, she just broke down and started crying. And she was sharing a lot of intimate things that was going on for her. And she was like, thank you. Like, I don't know what else to say, but thank you. And she left with a very happy and a big smile. So the beautiful alchemy happens when we use sound, voice, and it's a mixture of everything being along with the intuition and being present fully in that place.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your process. I also wanted to hear from Jeet about yours. You speak about sound as a catalyst for personal transformation. Could you share one experience, personal or in your circles, where you witnessed sound create a palpable inner shift like this?
Um, there has been many, but it's difficult to recall now. There have been many, Lakshmi. Let me think. So there was, so I of course offer sessions at my space, but I also offer sessions in studios outside in the city, in Bangalore. Um, there was a person, an individual. She came in last year. Just walked in into the session. Didn't even register. Like did not pre-register. She just walked in. I welcomed her, and there were, of course, other participants. But then I saw she kept coming back to my sessions. Uh, Somewhere around, I think, sixth or the seventh session, she shared something very personal, which was that she has been out of job for more than 9 or 10 months, and she was not able to find a suitable job matching her profile. But with sounds, what changed in her was her expression to sell herself, to sell her skills. And she kept attempting and appearing for various interviews, of course, to find a suitable job. But only after I think about sixth or the seventh session when she shared this news that she's now able to sort of express her skills and broadcast her skills in a much better way, and her interaction with the interviewer has improved. It has changed, and it roots back to the to the way that she was able to express things to me in the session. And she was able to journal things after every session. So up until that point in time, she never shared. But each time she came, she probably was journaling. And that was maybe subconsciously changing her ability, enhancing her skills, something new that she never knew existed in her own self. It came up. That was quite moving for me. That was interesting. There have been many more. Akshay was just sharing about somebody who couldn't cry. I recently, about 2 weeks back, I met an individual, and he said he feels sad about something that has happened in the past, but he cannot cry. He finds too much struggle to cry. Uh, and then he was part of the session, and I was sure that sound has impacted that person. And the moment he was sharing, all that I did was I just gave him a gentle hug, a very warm, gentle hug. And he cried at that moment. First time, I don't know, 6, 7 years, he's been blocking himself. And that was probably for a few seconds. That is a change. And he cried, and he laughed at it, at his own ability to cry. And he was surprised. Uh, you know, I can only observe and hold that space for him or for that person. There also comes a point that we don't have to really give any solution or give answers too much. Just hold the space and let the person be in that space and move from there on. So these are two instances I would say. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
personally, sorry, go ahead.
No, you want to share a personal experience also?
My personal experience has been quite intense. I was very low in my life about 3.5, 4 years ago. Almost at a dead end, not having any purpose, probably on the verge of a cliff, and the only thing I saw was a fall, not a rise. And that's when sounds came into my life. And that's when I started challenging a lot of structure around me. To the fact that I'll share something very personal. I am a born Sikh, but I could never understand the idea of religion as opposed to, let's say, having a faith in something or having a belief or a faith in some energy, as opposed to an imposition onto me that makes my identity in some manner. So I was not comfortable and I was not okay with the identity that was imposed onto me. Right. And I kept challenging all these years as I was growing. Right. Up until 39, when I encountered sounds in my life, I had a different enthusiasm, of course, and a different confidence to challenge it. And the first thing I did was I shaved my head. 10 days after my first sound journey. And I was like, no, this is how I want to start from zero. That was shocking even for me as an individual who's been holding a turban since 38 years. And it was a drastic shift for me, for my own self and the people around me as well. Yeah, and thereon I did not look back. That's when what I'm trying to say is, I found my own identity with that sort of confidence that the sound energy gave me. That who are you? You are nothing, at the same time, you are everything. Yeah, it's going to be a long story, but I'd rather pause here right now. Yeah, that's my personal sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and also being vulnerable here. I want to ask, as space holders, you were also mentioning about holding space. What kind of practices or rituals do you use regularly to stay grounded, energetically clear while holding space for others? Akshay also mentioned something about feeling this thing to cry when the other person couldn't. Yeah. Would you like to start, Akshay? What are your practices like?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for asking that, Lakshmi, because it's very important, especially working as healers and with sound healing, any kind of healing modality. Having a personal practice is of utmost importance because otherwise it just uh, creates leaks of our energy into our system, into our family, into people around us, into everything that we do. And my personal practice is definitely yoga, along with Reiki. I mix Reiki and yoga in my work and in the way I move, working with the breath and sounds, of course. Um, every day, an important check that I do on myself is to sing. I love to sing. So if I'm feeling like there's something stabbing on my heart or stepping on my heart that I can't sing out loud, then it means that I need to work extra that day. So that's how I check on myself. Is my voice moving out freely? Am I able to sing from the bottom of my heart? Is the way I check on myself.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good that's a good tip actually. Yeah. Kainas, do you want to add what are your practices like?
So like I said, for me, it's yoga. I'm very deeply into yoga. I teach yoga as well. So a lot of I do a lot of yoga. What I mean by that is not just an asana practice, but a lot of meditation and a lot of pranayam. And like Akshay said, I started chanting too few years ago. I used to be, and like Jeet said, we have such similar stories. It's crazy. But like Jeet said that, he was going through something. I feel like all these things come to you at a point in your life when you are utterly hopeless. I don't know if that's true for Akshay also, but at least that's how it is. See, yeah, there, there you go. So I think this is our journey as people who are practitioners or facilitators. You are in such a hopeless pit that there is no other option. You have to find something which will ground you. So for me, it was yoga and sound. And then I discovered chanting, and I feel like over the years, my voice has changed just through chanting. And like Jeet had mentioned earlier, it's not about that, these Sanskrit chants have been placed in such a beautiful way that just the resonance of those sounds can be so healing. So I just chant, and every day the chant might be different. Today I might feel like chanting something from an Islamic Sufi tradition. Another day I might chant a hymn. Another day I might chant the Hanuman Chalisa, and I'm Parsi. So it doesn't, it's not about the religion. It's about what that chant evokes in my heart. So I always check in with my heart. How is my heart feeling? And what is it asking me to chant today? And it'll come to me, and I'll chant that and ground myself. And that's my daily practice. And like Akshay said, it's extremely, extremely important to have your own personal practice, because only when you are full from inside can you share. Otherwise, if you are empty, how can you help someone else? And the only way is to constantly keep practicing.
Yeah, thank you. Jeet, what are your practices like?
I listen, so I play this gong. This is my new baby behind me. Uh, just about, I think, 3 months old. And this came from Italy. So this is something that I'm, having my hands dirty with at the moment. Um, I listen to Sufi music, uh, especially Cook Studio Pakistan. That is my another home where I sort of connect. Uh, and then the third thing I do is I go into my kitchen and I cook for myself. that keeps me grounded a lot, as much as what the sound modality does to me. So I cook and I pour all the love in my food, and then it balances. I enjoy cooking. I think that is one of my grounding techniques or tools, not the technique, but tools to sort of rest myself. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask like a follow-up question. You all three of you have in some ways stressing about the importance of keeping your practices alive. Do you find that when you have work to be done, in your words, Akshay, like when you have things that you need to work on, do you find that that affects your practice with people, like the clients, and in what way? Like I personally have a tarot, energy work, psychic facilitation practice. I find that when I haven't done my work, I don't get clients. Yeah, I'm curious to see if this is also true for you guys, or yeah, if you have anything else to add to that. Akshay, if you want to go first.
With respect to getting clients, for me, I think if I need to do like mental work that I don't deal with. It just overwhelms me. But with respect to my personal practices, I think practicing regularly and consistently for over a period of time gives me a certain sense of grounding. Even so, even if I'm swayed a little bit with whatever's happening on the personal front, when I come back to my ground and seat myself and say, right now, this, like, how you create an environment, you pause in between two things. You pause what's happening, you come into this space, and then you finish this place, give a closure, and then you move out of it. So when I'm able to create that bubble, create that grounding, and create that environment and space for me, I'm able to hold that space for the client and myself very well. It definitely used to trouble me a lot around 2 years back. Every time I had a sound healing session, I'd be in the bed for 2 days. And my family was like, no, you're not doing this anymore. We can't keep taking care of you. So I realized my practice was very inconsistent at that point in time. So when I regularized my practice, it became much easier. And I understood, okay, how important it was for me to have my practices consistent at a certain level.
Yeah, thank you. Jeet, anything to add to that?
No, not much. Just that I would go back. Yeah, I remember when I began interacting with a lot of people while offering sessions outside. There have been instances when I was very low with my own energy for up to 18, 20 hours. And at that point in time, I had no clue what's happening with me. And I used to be just in my room, not able to move also. Uh, Only when I started researching about it, and I consulted with my peers in this modality, is when I understood that there is a cleansing that's required for my own self. Um, so what I started doing was something that I didn't practice earlier, maybe lack of awareness, or maybe I was very new, was that using tiny elements like sage or Palo Santo or sacred woods or all these sacred elements, something that I did not practice uh, before and after the session. It has come into practice a bit more. Rather, it has become a regular routine now. So that is something I do to keep my aura not getting affected by the other people. But at the same time, it becomes also, actually a little tricky that how much you are holding space and where do you, take a little step back. There have been people who cannot express too much and they really want to latch on to you energetically and physically also. I have had difficult uh, situations dealing with such people in my sessions. So I have to really be very, very aware how much I am really available and not available, pre and post. It, I think it's a learning curve. Um, yeah, this is what I'm doing right now, but maybe in future I might find something new, or maybe if the other people want to share, they can also share their
Yeah.
experience or some techniques to keep ourselves, you know, a little more sane.
Yeah, Kailash, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, so like I said, I have a very consistent yoga and meditation practice for the last many, many years. So that really keeps me stable and on an even keel most times. Um, I've only had one, I mean, actually, every time I do a session where I facilitate, I feel like my energy is just so high after it. I feel so beautiful myself. I know I have spoken to practitioners who feel very drained after a session, but it always has an opposite effect on me. I've always felt deeply energized, and I like being around people and I love holding space. It genuinely is something I love doing. So it doesn't drain me. There's only one time in as a facilitator that I had a very bad experience where um, somebody was in my session was just um, I don't know what was up with him, but he was going through something and it was disturbing the entire space and everybody else. And um, I just felt called to go and just like hold him and touch him and just like ground him. And in his frenzy, he pushed me. And I got really scared by that experience. And of course, then people came and like, escorted him out of the place and stuff because he was just, I don't know what was happening to him, honestly. And he wasn't able to ground. And that was the one and only time where I got very disoriented in my session. I took a moment to ground myself again and then continue. But I remember coming home and for 2 days I couldn't sleep. Um, I couldn't meditate. I couldn't close my eyes. Every time I closed my eyes, I would see his face. And that was the first time I realized what it was like for somebody's energy to be in my being. And for me, not being able to shield or protect myself. Because before every session, I always pray. I pray before every session. I ask for guidance. I say, I pray to Devi because that's who I believe in. And I say, Goddess, please just use me to help whoever needs help today. And that was the one time I felt like that shield somehow didn't protect me because it's never happened otherwise. And then I called my teacher and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, it's been 2 days and I'm not able to even meditate. So, how do I help myself? And he said, just take some time off. It's okay. Don't do anything for a while. Don't do any of your own practices also. It's okay. You got scared. Somebody pushed you in that moment where you were just trying to hold space for them. So it's scary. And that's what I did. I left it. I just kept praying with my eyes open because I couldn't close my eyes. And in time, it went away. And I did a lot of salt baths. So just like rubbing salt on myself and saying, please cleanse me of this energy. Again, like Jeet mentioned, saging and Palo Santo and all of that. But um, yeah, sometimes these things happen, but you can't predict.
Yeah. Also want to say something that I learned over the period is responsibility. What is my responsibility and where does the other person's responsibility sort of lies? So telling at that point in time the individual that this is your responsibility, and also realizing that what is my responsibility? My responsibility is not to resolve his problems, his or her problems. My responsibility is only to ensure that he is safe and I am safe. If if your ground is not safe, then you cannot hold anyone else. And that's your responsibility. Uh, this is something I've learned over the time, and that comes with experience, Lakshmi. It's not something that can be, uh, yeah, it can be written in theory, but I don't know how to sort of share as a lecture.
I just
Yeah,
want to
go
quickly
ahead.
add something.
Go ahead, go ahead, go
Thank
ahead.
you for bringing that up, Kainas, because more and more as I spend time working with clients and doing healing work, I realize the need to have my mentors in place, to always to be able to reach out to them when I'm going through something, when I need to learn, when I'm not seeing something that I need to see. Having my mentors as my backup is very, very helpful, because though they don't need to help me with my client, but they help me see through what I'm not seeing. And that has been very profoundly supporting me in the whole journey of being a healer or discovering myself as a healer. I can't stress that enough, of the mentors that we need during this process to ask the right questions.
Yeah, that's the supervisor equivalent for therapists. I think, of course, it extends to other modalities as well. So I'm going to take another 3 to 4 minutes. I know we're a little over time. I want to ask one last question about so at Sacredversities, we believe in empowering everyone to be on their own learning quest and creating their own Sacredversity as well. So if someone who's watching this or listening to this wanted to start their own Sacredversity, like how we are calling your sound practice is Dhwaniversity. You have been on a uh, learning journey as well as help holding space for others and basically inviting the sacred into earth. If someone wants to start their own Sacredversities, what do you have any tips or suggestions or guidance for them that you would like to share to them? Was the question clear? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, we're calling this your sound healing practice, sound immersion practice as Dhwaniversity. So you know how university, the versity part of university. So at Ecoversities, we believe that everybody can start have something to offer to other people, and everyone has a unique gift that can make this world a more beautiful place to live in. If someone was to identify that this is the gift I want to offer to the world, that is basically a certain kind of Sacredversity. We're just giving it a label. So do you have any idea, any tips or guidance for someone who want to walk their own unique path in that way? Yeah, that's the question. Like how you are all walking your unique path and offering your gift to the world.
So I think, sorry, can I go?
Yeah, please.
I think this is something that you can't choose. It chooses you first up. Um, I don't think you can decide, I want to do this. It'll just come to you in a moment, and that's something I cannot explain. But there'll be an inner knowing that, okay, this is my calling or purpose, or, this is what truly makes me feel alive. Um, and when that comes, I feel like the path always just opens up somehow. What Jeet can tell you, what Akshaya can tell you, what I can tell you would just be our own experience. But um, it'll have to be something that you will experience, because these are not conventional jobs like becoming a teacher or an actor or anything else, or MBA kar liya. No, at least I don't think so. I feel like this will come to you. It'll be a very strong inner knowing which cannot be shaken by anything anyone else can tell you. And then when you decide, the path will open it, it'll just present itself for you. Like I was wondering also at some point, how will I do this? It's so different, all of that, and it just flowed because it was meant to happen. So at least that's my experience of it. So I feel like if you feel like you have a calling, reach out to people who are in the similar space, and you will get your answers. You will just find it.
Yeah, find mentors in some ways, you're saying. Yeah. Jeet, what is your take?
I would align to what Kaina said exactly. And once you found the purpose, or once you found that versity, then it is that element that is going to give you the answers to your questions. It is that element that is going to give you that ground where you want to stand. It is also the element that is going to give you that oxygen you want to breathe. Otherwise, uh, otherwise, there are people around us. If I only look at my own life, I was always fed with some information externally that I have to become this or that. Sound modality was nowhere in my sphere, nowhere in my perimeter. And imagine, I was just sharing my life. After about 30 or 39 years, is I'm trying to find this modality and I'm learning this like a 5-year old. So that innocence is something that's needed always. And that honesty to pursue something. Uh, and that is something which can only, it cannot be fed from the outside. It has to invoke and initiate from within. Is this a purpose that you have to do? And then there also comes a very practical aspect to it. Will it give you money? How will you survive? What will you do with this? It's very difficult. It can be very overwhelming sometimes. But if your passion and if your intent and if your hunger is is strong enough that okay, this is my day zero, this next day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do the same thing. Day two, day three, it is going to take you. It is going to carve the path, what she said. It is automatically going to do that mystic magic. Uh, and there's no other way to impose or enforce it. Uh, and to be honest, Lakshmi, I don't know if this is going to run for me for 5 years, 10 years. I feel right now where I am with my sounds and my experience and my learnings, I might blend this with some other modality. This is what I feel right now. Maybe I might blend it with psychedelics. I have a very strong calling for that at this moment, and how sounds would probably blend with the medicine, with the sacred medicine, and what is the effect it's going to do on the ceremonies I might be holding. I don't know. This is how I see. So that's again an inner calling, but yeah, it's too early to say it. But this is what I'm saying. It's something that cannot be imposed on to anyone because that's what our parents have been doing. That's what our elders have been doing. You have to do A, B, C. You cannot think of D. But I'm
Yeah.
doing E now.
Yeah, thank you for adding to that. Akshay, do you want to say anything about this?
My 2 cents to anybody who wants to offer their own sacredversities would be to remember that our emotions are valid experiences, but they do not define our truth. Any anger, any fear, any sorrow, guilt, pain, hurt that we go through are very valid experiences, but they necessarily need not define our truth. It's something that's really helping me, that I really hold on to.
Hmm. Yeah, lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to extend. Also, thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you for those who attended today and also those who will be listening later through our YouTube.